AITA for making my family regret siding with my brother after he tried to get me sent to jail? My brother tried to bury me after I was falsely accused. My parents disowned me, calling me a predator. I am 38 years old. I work for myself, run my own electrical contracting business, and teach basic electrical safety courses at Riverside Community College twice a week. It isn't exactly glamorous, but I make six figures when I get a lot of commercial jobs, and the teaching gig keeps me sharp. Plus, the college pays $75 an hour for 2 4-hour sessions. It's easy money. The whole nightmare started on a Wednesday when the department head, Dean Gregory, called me into his office after my morning session. I assumed it was about the new curriculum they wanted to implement for the fall semester. Maybe a pay raise, something normal. Dean Gregory was sitting there with Dr. Cynthia, the director of student services, and a university lawyer, whose name I didn't catch because I was too busy reading the room. The atmosphere was like a funeral home. Too many serious faces for a conversation about schedules. Ethan, thanks for coming in. We need to talk about some allegations that have surfaced regarding your conduct at the Skills USA competition last month. My brain immediately went on red alert. What allegations? 2 students filed separate complaints, alleging inappropriate physical contact during the competition weekend in Sacramento. Given the seriousness of these accusations, we are placing you on immediate administrative leave pending a full investigation. I looked at him like he had grown a second head. What competition? Skills USA Regionals. April 12th to the 14th in Sacramento. I wasn't at that competition. Dr. Cynthia leaned forward with that expert counselor voice that made my teeth ache. Ethan, I understand this must be shocking. These situations are always difficult. But the most important thing is that we take student safety very seriously and ensure that proper protocols are followed. I was not at the competition. I repeated, more slowly this time. I was on a job site managing a 3-phase installation at the new downtown medical complex. I can get the permits, the inspection reports, everything. Dean Gregory's expression remained unchanged. We will review all documentation as part of the investigation process. However, given the consistency of the reports and the seriousness of the allegations, we believe immediate suspension is the appropriate response. Consistency of what reports? I wasn't there. I didn't go to Sacramento. I was 70 miles away running conduit in a hospital with security cameras on every floor. Dean Gregory finally said, "Your name is on the chaperone list." As if that was checkmate. I told him the schedule was wrong and offered to prove I was on a job site all weekend. Nobody cared. The lawyer finally spoke, some rehearsed corporate nonsense about accountability and proper procedures. "We need you to gather your materials and leave campus today. Someone from HR will contact you about the next steps." That's when I understood. They had already made up their minds. The evidence was just an inconvenience that might complicate their neat little narrative. Can I at least know what I'm specifically accused of? Student privacy laws prevent us from sharing details without signed releases, Dr. Cynthia said softly. But the nature of the allegations warrants immediate action. I wanted to pull out my phone right there and show them the work orders, the signed inspection documents, the time-stamped photos I took of the installation for the project file. But something in the way they were all sitting there, a unified wall of bureaucratic certainty, told me it wouldn't matter. They had chosen their story. I was just the obstacle. I cleared out my desk in 15 minutes. I took my tools, a couple of reference books, and a few USB drives with class material. I kept thinking about April 12th. I remembered that weekend perfectly because the hospital job had been a nightmare. Critical path work with inspections scheduled for Monday morning. I was on site from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, supervising a 4-man crew as we roughed in the surgical wing. I had a bad backache Sunday night. I went home and took a hot bath for an hour. I had permits with my signature, inspection reports, progress photos, daily logs, and 4 electricians who worked with me all weekend. My phone probably pinged off the hospital's cell tower 200 times over those 3 days. 10 minutes of checking records would have cleared it up instantly. They didn't want to check. I called my parents from my truck. My dad answered on the second ring. "I'm being accused of something physically impossible," I said. No preamble, no fuss. 2 students claim I was involved in an incident at a competition I didn't attend. I've been suspended. My mom got on the speakerphone. Her voice had that sharp edge it gets when she sees an opportunity. What exactly do they say happened? They won't give me details. But they said it was at the Skills USA competition in Sacramento. I was working at the hospital all weekend. There was a pause. Then, my dad asked, "Do you have proof?" Signed permits, inspection documents, witnesses from the work crew, site photos, everything. Then we'll handle this, he said. But his tone wasn't reassuring. It was calculating. Come home tonight. We need to talk strategy. That night, I gathered all the documentation I had. Permits with my signature as the on-site license holder, inspection reports from 3 separate walkthroughs that weekend, hospital security badge records with entry and exit times, crew reports, and timestamp progress photos. All organized, chronological, and flawless. It was proof that not only suggested innocence, but demonstrated physical impossibility. I was not in Sacramento. I was 70 miles away on a job site that left a paper trail any first-year law student could verify in 10 minutes. I sent it all to Dean Gregory at midnight with the subject line, documentation, hospital job, April 12th to 14th. He never replied. My brother Logan called me Thursday morning at 8:30. I was still half asleep, but we grew up in the same house and shared the same last name, so I thought blood would count for something. Then I remembered Logan had always had to be the better son. When I started my business at 26 and bought my first house at 28, he spent Thanksgiving dinner explaining to everyone that professional careers require college degrees. When I paid off my truck in cash, he had commented that blue-collar money doesn't build generational wealth. Our parents had always preferred his corporate track to my work in the trades, the MBA from the state university, the nonprofit position, the community leadership nonsense. He had been posting ally content on social media for 2 years, mostly performative posts about accountability and believing survivors. His career had stalled after being passed over for a director position twice. He needed a cause. I just didn't realize I was about to become his. Logan, thank God. Did you hear what's happening? The college is trying to. I can't talk to you right now. His voice was cold, professional. I'm meeting with the college administration this afternoon. I wanted you to know that Melissa and I are taking this very seriously. Taking what seriously? I wasn't even at the competition. I have documentation proving I was on a job site all weekend. Permits, inspections, crew statements. I have to go. He hung up. I tried to call him back. Blocked. I tried to text. Blocked. I sat in my truck staring at my phone, thinking maybe I had misheard him. Maybe he needed time to process. Maybe the college had fed him some nonsense that made him cautious. Then I got a text from my Uncle Raymond. Did you see what Logan posted? Call me. Logan sent something to the extended family first. A private message to my parents, my aunt, a couple of cousins. Uncle Raymond forwarded it to me. Professional language about serious allegations and supporting the investigation process, and how in good conscience he couldn't maintain contact until the facts were established. Cold, measured, unmistakably a line drawn in the sand. That was the warning shot. 6 hours later, the family group text exploded. Logan posted a message that felt like a knife in my chest. I have been made aware of credible allegations against Ethan involving students from Riverside Community College. After meeting with university officials and carefully reviewing the information they provided, Melissa and I believe the students who came forward. We will not be in contact with Ethan and strongly encourage the family to prioritize the safety and well-being of the young people involved in this situation. I read it 4 times, trying to make the words say something different. My mom replied first. We support you both. This is heartbreaking, but necessary. My dad followed. Agreed. Some things are more important than family loyalty. You're a hero for standing up for the victims. My cousin Leah texted. Wait. What? Has anyone talked to Ethan? My Uncle Raymond wrote. This is insane. You're convicting him without hearing his side. I started typing a reply. Deleted it. Started again. Deleted it. What the hell was I supposed to say? That I wasn't there. I had already told Logan that. He didn't care enough to look at the evidence before declaring me guilty to everyone we knew. I tried calling my dad. It went to voicemail. I tried my mom. She was reading from a script. Ethan, honey, we've discussed this at length with Logan. He's walked us through the college's concerns, and we believe the right thing to do is to step back and let the investigation proceed without family interference. Family interference? I'm trying to show you proof that I wasn't even there. Honey, we aren't investigators. We're not qualified to evaluate evidence. What we can do is support the process and ensure that the victims feel safe coming forward. Victims of what? I was on a job site 70 miles away with 4 witnesses and a mountain of inspection documents. Your anger is understandable right now, but it's not productive. We love you, but we have to think about the broader implications. Broader implications of what? Destroying an innocent person? Why is that easier than checking basic facts? She sighed as if I was making this difficult for her. We'll talk when you've calmed down. She hung up. By Thursday night, Logan had posted something on social media. My uncle Raymond screenshotted it and sent it to me before my mom made him delete his number from the family contact list. A long manifesto about believing survivors, even when it costs you relationships. About how true accountability requires sacrifice. About choosing what's right over what's easy. 300 likes in 2 hours. Comments calling him brave. Calling him a true ally. Not one asked if he had checked any facts. Friday morning, the university sent the termination letter, effective immediately. Corporate language about maintaining safe learning environments and making difficult decisions for student well-being. I taught there for 4 years. I helped design their entire electrical safety program. I had a 98% student approval rating. I never had a single complaint, until 2 kids who had never been in my class suddenly remembered an incident at an event I didn't attend. I was fired in 3 paragraphs. My landlord sent an eviction notice the following Tuesday. 60 days to vacate. Apparently, the lease included a morals clause about conduct that damages the property's reputation. Being falsely accused of something so serious apparently qualified. My business account started to see contracts pulled. In the construction industry, news travels fast, and nobody wants to be involved in that kind of liability. 3 jobs with a turnover of $180,000 evaporated in a week. General contractors who had been calling me for bids suddenly had scheduling conflicts. The supply company that had given me a net 30 payment term for 6 years switched me to cash only. My accountant sent a polite email suggesting we reevaluate our professional relationship. My friends stopped responding. People I'd known since high school left my messages on read. My gym membership was mysteriously canceled. The owner of the coffee shop near my apartment, where I had been eating the same breakfast sandwich for 3 years, suddenly couldn't make eye contact when I walked in. I stopped going. I kept texting Logan. I tried email when he blocked everything else. I sent him the entire evidence folder with all the timestamps. Every photo, every document proving my presence on site that weekend. Subject, please look at this. Delivery confirmed. Never opened. He had decided I was guilty, and the evidence was just noise. I stopped explaining on day 12. Not because I had accepted defeat, but because I realized something while standing in my empty apartment, surrounded by boxes I couldn't afford to move. No one who had already taken a side was going to look at the evidence. They didn't want the truth. They wanted a villain, and I had been perfectly cast. I didn't go back to my parents' house. That door was welded shut. I moved my things into a storage unit and stayed in my friend Derek's basement on a fold-out cot. I paid him in cash and rewired his panel, which looked like it had been installed during the Nixon administration. I spent the weekend organizing everything: permits, inspections, badge-in records with exact times, progress photos, crew statements. It all pointed to the same conclusion. I was not in Sacramento. I was on a job site 70 miles away, doing work that left an extensive paper trail. On Monday morning, I called a lawyer. Not a big firm. I couldn't afford it. But my uncle Raymond knew someone who owed him a favor. A civil rights attorney in her late 30s who handled Title IX cases and had a reputation for eating university administrators for breakfast. She was already on her second coffee when I got to the diner. "Tell me everything," she said. I pulled out a notepad. I laid it all out. The accusation, the suspension, the family implosion, Logan's social media crusade. Everything. She spent 20 minutes reviewing my evidence. When she finally looked up, her expression was predatory. "This is bulletproof. You weren't there." "I know. So why are they still pushing this?" Because admitting they were wrong means admitting they framed an innocent man. The college, the administrators, my brother. They all went public fast and loud. Backing down now makes them look incompetent or malicious. It's easier to keep insisting on my guilt and hope I quietly go away. She nodded slowly. "Here's what you need to understand. You have strong claims for defamation, tortious interference, and maybe Title IX violations. Your brother made specific, false, and damaging statements that cost you income and housing. The university violated due process. This is going to get ugly. It will take time, and it will cost them more than they're willing to pay. I'm not going anywhere." "Good. Then here's the play. We don't engage publicly. We preserve the evidence, file the necessary complaints, and let them dig themselves deeper. Every time your brother posts, we screenshot it. Every time the college refuses to review your evidence, we document it. When this goes to trial, we'll bury them in their own negligence." And Logan? He's calling me a predator. He's coaching the families. Every post he makes, every statement he helps craft, every time he insists without checking the basic facts, becomes evidence. The more certain he acts, the worse he looks. When we prove he never verified anything, he's building your case. I liked her immediately. We spent the next hour going over the steps. Before I left, she gave me one more instruction. Send preservation letters to the university and to Dr. Cynthia. Inform them they must preserve all documents, emails, and records related to this case. If they destroy evidence after that letter, this becomes a whole different problem. I sent the preservation letters that afternoon. Then I filed complaints with the State Accreditation Board and the Department of Education. I started drafting the defamation lawsuit against Logan. Nothing dramatic, nothing public, just the bureaucratic machinery grinding into motion. Logan kept posting long threads about believing victims, about how dangerous it was for families to protect predators, about choosing moral courage over family obligation. It wasn't even subtle. It all boiled down to convict first, ask questions later. Every post was screenshotted, logged, and added to the file. He was building my case, paragraph by paragraph, with his moral certainty, and he didn't even know it. The police investigation began 3 months later. They checked the competition records. My name wasn't on them. They checked the chaperone list, lodging, and transportation records. Then they checked the hospital job. They found my permits, inspection reports, and badging records. They found 4 electricians who swore I had been on site all weekend. The detective called me in November. He sounded tired in that specific way cops get when they realize they've wasted months on nonsense. We've finished our investigation. I want you to know we found no evidence placing you in Sacramento that weekend. Your alibi is solid. We're closing this case without filing criminal charges. What about the accusations? A long pause. We're reviewing how those accusations were documented and who was involved in that process. That's all I can say. He hung up. I called my lawyer. She wasn't surprised. Perfect. Now we go after them. She had been busy while I stayed quiet. Discovery requests were filed to subpoena the university, Dr. Cynthia, and Logan. The university fought them. They claimed student privacy, institutional privilege, and confidentiality protections. She dispatched each objection like it was tissue paper, but the stonewalling came first. HR started ignoring her. The university's legal team sent form letters. We cannot comment on ongoing personnel matters. When my lawyer requested the security badge records from the hospital, they claimed the data was unavailable due to technical issues. The university tried to make it go away quietly. Their lawyer contacted her in December with a settlement offer, $50,000, a mutual non-disclosure agreement, and no admission of wrongdoing. The email had that desperate corporate smell. Make this disappear before it gets worse. My lawyer forwarded it to me with one word. Ridiculous. She responded with our own offer, full reinstatement, a public apology, $300,000, and the termination of Dr. Cynthia. Or we go to trial and expose every procedural failure in discovery. They went silent for 3 weeks. Then a reporter from the local paper started asking questions. Someone had leaked the police findings. The university's PR office started putting out fires. The board of trustees got nervous. Donors started calling. Suddenly, those unavailable hospital badge records appeared, with perfect timestamps. External pressure had accomplished what my evidence couldn't. It made them face reality. The discovery material started trickling in January. Discovery answered the one big question. How did my name get attached in the first place? Dr. Cynthia had sent out the travel roster for Sacramento. It was a recycled template from the previous year. My name was still on it. She treated that spreadsheet like it was gospel. Then she coached the students until their statements matched the list. Emails between Dr. Cynthia and Dean Gregory discussed narrative management and controlling the story. Text messages between Dr. Cynthia and the students' parents helped them organize their memories. There were multiple drafts of student statements with significant edits and additions that clearly didn't come from teenagers. The accusers weren't malicious masterminds. They were kids. Tyson, 17, was studying welding, and Brielle, 16, was studying HVAC fundamentals. Both had attended the Sacramento competition. Dr. Cynthia approached both of them afterward during what was supposed to be a routine feedback session about the event. Their initial statements were vague, confused, and uncertain. Then Dr. Cynthia stepped in. An email from Dr. Cynthia to Tyson's mother caught my eye. I know he's struggling to recall specifics, but sometimes trauma makes memories blurry. Let's try the timeline exercise we discussed. Walking through the weekend again might help things surface. Another one to Brielle's father read. I believe we have enough consistency now to move forward with confidence. The statements align well. We just need to ensure the family stays committed to the process and doesn't waver under pressure. There were pages of it. Dr. Cynthia guiding, suggesting, and shaping every detail until the stories fit. But the most damning stuff came from Logan's own digital trail. He was so convinced he was the hero that he documented everything. A message to Brielle's mother said, "I know your daughter is second-guessing her decision, but backing down now sends the message that if you push victims long enough, they'll fold. We need to show strength here. Don't let them get hung up on timelines and alibis. That's just a distraction tactic predators use. What matters is the trauma, not the logistics." He had saved it all. Every conversation where he helped them refine their statements. Every moment he prioritized his crusade over basic fact-checking, always pushing back when doubts started to surface. My lawyer scheduled depositions for February. Logan was first. The deposition took place in a conference room that smelled of stale coffee and desperation. Logan sat across from me for the first time in 8 months. He looked terrible. He had dark circles under his eyes. His lawyer was an underpaid associate who kept checking his watch like he had somewhere better to be. My lawyer looked like a shark that had just smelled blood in the water. She started gently with background questions, his relationship with me, his work in community advocacy. Then she shifted. "When did you become aware of the allegations against your brother?" "The college contacted me in late April. They asked if I would meet with them to discuss a serious situation." "And what did they tell you in that meeting?" "That 2 students had reported an inappropriate situation during a competition weekend." "Did they give you specific details about what allegedly happened?" "No. They said privacy laws prevented them from sharing information without parental consent." "Did they tell you which competition?" "Skills USA Regionals in Sacramento, from April 12th to the 14th. "And at any point, during or after that meeting, did you verify that Ethan had actually attended the competition?" Logan paused and looked at his lawyer, who gave a slight nod. "No. You didn't check attendance records? You didn't verify the chaperone list? You didn't ask the college to confirm Ethan's presence?" "No." My lawyer let that hang in the air for a moment. "Ethan contacted you after the accusation, correct?" "Yes." "And what did he tell you?" "He said he wasn't at the competition, that he had proof he was on a job that weekend." "And what did you do with that information?" "I told him I couldn't discuss it with him and ended the call." "Did you ask to see this proof?" "He sent you documentation, didn't he? Permits, inspection reports, witness statements." "He sent emails." "I didn't open them." "Why not?" "I was advised not to." Seeing his defense felt like it would compromise my ability to support the students who came forward. "Support the students," my lawyer repeated flatly. "Even if the student wasn't affected by your brother. I believe the allegations were credible. But you didn't verify them." Silence. My lawyer just let him hang there. The court reporter's fingers stopped. Logan's lawyer shifted in his seat. The whole room felt the weight of that admission settle like cement. "You posted about this case several times on social media, correct?" "Yes." "A public post stating your belief in the allegations and your decision to cut contact with Ethan." "Yes." "And you assisted the families involved in organizing their statements." "They were hesitant. I provided support and guidance." My lawyer slid a printed screenshot across the table. "This is a message from you to Brielle's mother. You wrote, and I quote, 'Don't let them get hung up on timelines and alibis. That's just a distraction tactic predators use.' Do you recall writing that?" Logan stared at the paper. "Yes." "You were aware that timelines could be important?" "Yes." "For example, if the accused wasn't present at the event in question." "At the time, I believed." "And you believed that verification was not important." "I believed that protecting the students was more important than getting bogged down in technicalities." "Technicalities like whether your brother was actually there." His lawyer objected. My lawyer withdrew the question and moved on. "You also sent a message to Brielle's mother, encouraging her not to let Brielle back down, even after the student expressed uncertainty about her memories. Is that correct?" "I was trying to prevent her from being pressured into silence." "Or were you trying to prevent her from telling the truth when it became inconvenient for your narrative?" "Objection. Withdrawn. Let's talk about your testimony to the College Board. You made public statements, correct?" "Yes." "And in those statements, you asserted that Ethan was guilty and that the family should support the accusers." "I said that I believed the students and that accountability was necessary." "Accountability for something he didn't do." "I didn't know that at the time." "You could have known. You chose not to." "Correct." Logan didn't answer. My lawyer leaned forward. "Logan, did it ever occur to you that by publicly declaring your brother guilty, by helping families craft coherent statements, by encouraging them to ignore doubts and stay committed, that you might be contributing to the destruction of an innocent person's life?" "No." "Why not?" Because I've worked with victims for years. I've seen how often they are silenced and ignored. I didn't want to be a part of that system. So instead, you became part of a system that destroys innocent people without checking basic facts. Objection. The deposition went on for another 6 hours. My lawyer walked him through every message, every post, every statement he helped shape. She made him explain every decision, every assumption, every moment he chose certainty over verification. He looked broken by the end. My lawyer had one last question. Logan, if you could go back to April, would you have done anything differently? A long pause. Logan's hands were trembling slightly. I would have checked to see if he was there first. The deposition ended at 8 p.m. Logan left without looking at me once. His lawyer pulled mine aside in the hallway. I watched through the glass as they spoke. The lawyer kept shaking his head. My lawyer's expression remained neutral. When she came back, she had that look lawyers get when they know they've already won. He's going to settle, she said. He has to. His own words buried him. The university board meeting, where it all came crashing down, took place on a Tuesday in March. They had scheduled it as a routine matter, but word had leaked about the investigation's findings. The room was packed with parents, faculty, a few reporters, local activists who had been supporting Logan, and some family members I hadn't seen in months. My uncle Raymond was there, my cousin Leah, and a few friends who had stuck around. I asked them not to come, but Raymond said, "We're watching you get vindicated. We're not missing it." My parents sat in the back corner. My mom wore that tight smile she uses when things aren't going her way. My dad looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Logan wasn't there. His lawyer had probably told him to stay away. The interim university president, brought in from the district office after the scandal and Dean Gregory's resignation, began with a prepared statement about transparency and institutional accountability. The room fell silent. Then they read the findings. Following a comprehensive review of the allegations against Ethan, which included the examination of work permits, inspection reports, security logs, and witness testimony, this board finds no factual basis to connect Ethan to the alleged incident. Ethan was not present in Sacramento on the weekend in question. In fact, he was at a commercial job site in the city performing permitted electrical work with multiple witnesses confirming his presence. Murmurs rippled through the room. Furthermore, our investigation revealed significant procedural failures in the handling of the initial allegations. Students were interviewed without proper protocols. University staff edited and refined their statements in ways that compromised their credibility. Multiple administrative decisions were made without verifying basic facts. The interim president looked uncomfortable. Ethan has filed civil suits against this institution, Dr. Cynthia, and his brother Logan for defamation and related claims. While we cannot comment on ongoing litigation, the university wishes to acknowledge that Ethan was wrongfully terminated and that his professional reputation was damaged by institutional failings on our part. Someone in the audience shouted something. A reporter stood up. The president stammered for order. "We are prepared to offer Ethan a settlement in the amount of." My lawyer leaned over and whispered, "Don't take it. We're going to trial on the defamation claims. Make an example." I nodded. My lawyer destroyed him. She walked the jury through every piece of evidence Logan had ignored, every message advising families to disregard doubts, every public declaration of guilt without so much as checking if he was in the same city. "This isn't about believing victims," she said in her closing argument. "It's about what happens when belief becomes a weapon." Logan didn't just fail to check the facts. He actively avoided them because they were inconvenient. He helped manufacture consistency in statements that were falling apart. He pressured families to ignore their own children's doubts. He did it publicly, loudly, with absolute certainty, and he did it to a man who was 70 miles away on a commercial job site when this alleged incident was supposed to have happened. The jury took 3 hours to deliberate. Liable on all claims. $50,000 in damages for lost income, reputational harm, and emotional distress. Logan showed no expression as the verdict was read. His lawyer tried to say something. He just got up and walked out. The university settled the following week. $280,000. A public apology. An agreement to reform investigation procedures. The settlement required them to send formal letters of correction to every employer they had notified about the allegations, to my landlord, to every supplier who had pulled contracts, to the university department's mailing list, and to the local contractors association. All of them on official letterhead, stating that the allegations were baseless, that I had been wrongfully terminated, and that their investigation confirmed I was not present at the event. My lawyer called it reputational remediation. I called it watching them eat their words in writing. They also paid settlements to the families whose children had been used as props in Dr. Cynthia's crusade. I don't hate Tyson and Brielle. They were 17 and 16 when this started, just kids who got swept up in something they didn't understand by adults who should have known better. Dr. Cynthia manipulated them. Logan reinforced it. Their parents were sold on the idea that consistency was more important than truth. The teens were confused, pressured, and surrounded by authority figures telling them what to remember. I blamed the adults who used them. Dr. Cynthia lost her license 4 months later. The state board found she had coached students, falsified evidence, and violated about 20 professional standards. She tried to appeal. It went nowhere. I didn't move to another city to start over. Forget that. I rebuilt right here, where everyone could see me. With the settlement money, I bought my own building, a 4,000 square foot shop with offices and equipment space. I hired my old crew back. I started bidding on the commercial jobs that had shut me out. It turns out a $250,000 settlement and a court judgment in your favor is pretty good advertising. Within 6 months, I was busier than I was before the nightmare began. My parents tried to reconcile in July. They showed up at the shop unannounced while I was running pipe for a restaurant renovation. I saw my dad's car pull into the lot and knew exactly what was coming. My dad started. We thought it was important to clear the air, to talk. Get out of my shop. My mom tried her soft voice, the one she uses when she wants something but needs to pretend she's being reasonable. Ethan, honey, we were just trying to do what we thought was right at the time. We didn't have all the information. You did. I sent it to you. You chose not to look at it because Logan told you not to. That's not fair, my dad said. We were in an impossible situation. The family was torn. Emotions were running high. Emotions were running high because you let Logan declare me guilty without checking a single fact. You supported his play because he's always been your golden boy. And I've always been the disappointment who works with his hands instead of pushing papers in a corporate office. My mother's eyes welled up. We never said that. You didn't have to. You proved it when it mattered. I went back to work. They stood there for another minute, then left. I haven't heard from them since. The family fracture never healed. Uncle Raymond and cousin Leah stayed in touch. Everyone else either sided with Logan or just went silent. Fine by me. Blood doesn't mean anything when the people who share it will throw you to the wolves at the first opportunity. Logan tried to rebuild his career as an advocate, but the judgment followed him everywhere. He was fired from his nonprofit job 3 months after the verdict. Last I heard, he was working for an insurance company doing boilerplate work for $50,000 a year. His wife, Melissa, left him in September. She took the house, the car, and what was left of his dignity. I didn't celebrate. It didn't feel good watching him fall apart, but it didn't feel bad either. The real satisfaction came from watching everyone who had been so certain, so righteous, so convinced they were on the right side of history, watching all of them have to swallow their words and knowing they'd never admit they were wrong. It was a cold Saturday in October, almost 18 months after the accusation, when Logan finally showed up. I was locking up the shop around 6 p.m. when his truck pulled into the parking lot. I recognized it instantly. The same beat-up Ford he'd been driving since college. He just sat in the cab for a good 5 minutes before getting out. I kept loading tools into my service van like I didn't see him. He walked over slowly, stopping about 10 feet away. Ethan. I finished loading the drill kit before I looked up. What do you want? He looked worse in person than I had imagined. Thinner, older, worn down in a way that had nothing to do with age. I wanted to talk. About what? About everything. About what happened. About. He trailed off. I screwed up. I know that now. I shut the van door and leaned against it. You drove an hour to tell me you screwed up. That's your big revelation. I'm trying to apologize. You're trying to feel better. There's a difference. He clenched his jaw. I was wrong. About all of it. I should have listened to you. I should have looked at your evidence. I should have checked if you were even there before I declared you a predator to the entire family. Yes, you should have verified a single fact before you advised families to ignore their own children's doubts. Yes, you should have considered, for even 1 second, that maybe your crusade was more important to you than the truth. He didn't answer that one. I pushed off the van. You didn't just screw up, Logan. You made a choice. You chose to believe I was guilty because it felt good, because it let you be the hero, because checking facts was work, and having faith in your own righteousness was easy. I was trying to help. You were trying to feel important. And when the evidence didn't fit your narrative, you just ignored it. I thought I was doing the right thing. No, you thought you were the righteous one. There's a difference. You've spent your entire life wanting to be better than me, smarter, more successful, more important. When those students made their accusation, you saw your chance. You finally had proof that you were the good brother, and I was the mess you always believed me to be. His hands were shaking. It fit the story you'd been telling yourself since we were kids. The silence stretched between us like barbed wire. I lost everything, he finally said. My job, my marriage, my reputation. I know that doesn't fix what I did to you, but it doesn't. You didn't lose those things because of what I did. You lost them because of what you did, because you prioritized your crusade over basic facts. And when the truth came out, everyone could see exactly who you were. I'm trying to fix this. You can't. Some things don't get fixed with an apology 18 months later. You tore my life apart because it was convenient for you. You let mom and dad think I was a predator because it made you look better by comparison. You helped families ignore evidence because you couldn't stand to be wrong. I walked past him toward my truck. Ethan, wait. I stopped, but I didn't turn around. You want forgiveness? You want closure? You want me to tell you it's okay and we can rebuild? I want to try. Then try this. Own what you did. Own that you destroyed your brother over allegations you never verified. Live with the knowledge that when it mattered most, you chose your ego over the truth. Live with the knowledge that every person who praised you for being brave was praising you for being certain about something you never bothered to check. Do not call me again. Do not come to my shop. Do not send letters or emails or messages through family members. We're done. I got in my truck and started the engine. Through the windshield, I saw him standing in the parking lot, his shoulders slumped. I'd never seen him look so small. His hands were in his pockets, his head was down. He looked like a man who had finally understood what he had done and realized it was beyond fixing. I drove away without looking back. Comment. After a story like this, I think it is important to talk about healing. Sometimes, the most powerful act of self-respect is setting a firm boundary, even with family. Our words have real weight, so it is our responsibility to use them with care and integrity. A genuine apology seeks to repair the harm, not just relieve guilt. You are never obligated to accept an apology that comes at the cost of your own peace. Real healing often comes from rebuilding your own world, rather than waiting for others to fix what they broke. Healing is about choosing your future over a painful past. Be kind to others, but never forget to be kindest to yourself. May you always find the strength to honor your truth and protect your inner peace. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.